Absolute cinema. After letting this game marinate for a couple of weeks, I can confidently say it is a masterpiece. It does so many things right. We could talk about the beautiful jump cuts and cinematography of the game, and even as something as small as the title card coming up is so creative. I could talk about how the game broke character tropes that you see in every other superhero adaptation, like Phenomenon isn't cunning, he isn't witty, he isn't charming. He's really weird and socially awkward because he doesn't understand how to act around people.
I now believe that you had nothing to do with our breakup.
Mecha Man, a superhero that's so dependent on his suit of armor, is a complete badass who's willing to put his body and life on the line, even without the armor. Invisigal's powers revolve around her being able to hold her breath, and she's an asthmatic smoker. And the big, mysterious, creepy villain who always wears a mask named Shroud is exactly who they told you he was going to be all the way back in the first episode. So to reiterate, he's not a down-to-earth, likable, relatable dude or an evil alien sent here to conquer the world. He's just weird and is almost entirely a product of circumstance. Somebody got to him before the bad guys and said, yeah, this is your job, you help people. There's no learning how to be a real superhero without the suit. He's always been a hero. He just has seasonal depression without the suit, as he puts it.
Destiny, not having powers, seasonal depression. None of these things kept me
from being a hero before.
There's no learning how to deal with the asthma or getting over the bad habits so she can be the best superhero possible. She goes to Shroud and asks for an augment. And there's no big twist reveal of who the villain really is. Everything that is told to us is what we get. And it's so refreshing and original to see something like this. And the gameplay, even though it was basically these two mini games and QuickTime events, were so much fun. The hacking was serviceable, fine even, at some points. The QuickTime events were QuickTime events, pretty standard, but the dispatching was really where it shined. And if Adhoc was smart, they would charge $5 for a gameplay update that let you play in unlimited dispatch mode. And I feel like so many people would have the same thought process as me, right? You come home from a hard day at work or school, and you just go, you sit at your desk, you throw on some YouTube, maybe some sports, maybe a show that you have strictly as background noise, and you just rip the unlimited dispatch mode for a couple hours. I would totally do that. I mean, it's so rare to see a world this good and people take to it this well. The other comparisons for this would obviously be the universe and the Boys universe. And to be honest, these off-brand universes that aren't Marvel and DC are putting out better content than a lot of what's coming out of Marvel and DC. Marvel seems like they're just shoveling slop out, and DC, yeah, it's a lot better, but this stuff is just more entertaining. Now, they all have these deep, heavy, grueling narratives, but they also all have their own niches, which make them special. Like, the Boys are super focused on shock value and satire, just parodying politics in the real world, while Invincible is more concerned with sticking to this narrative that's very long and already thought out, while having great character development. Dispatch's niche is that it's a workplace comedy, and it's actually really funny.
She temporarily blinded me! What do you mean temporarily? Make you blind forever!
It also is very narrative heavy. In episode 7, when Chase goes down and you don't know if he's gonna die or not, the whole tone of the game does a complete 180. And I don't think people understand how rare it is to have a dramatic comedy that works. And you can tell it never happens, and you can tell that people love it so much just by what the fan response is. I mean, this game fully completed like 3 weeks ago, and it's already in the running for best new indie game. And at the time of this recording, the voting for that closed like 6 hours ago. So the fact that it's up there with all these other games is impressive in itself. And the streets are saying that this shouldn't be indie game of the year. It should be game of the year. I'm the streets. And listen, based off game of the year, you got a lot of talent on this roster. You have Expedition 33, which everybody's creaming their jeans over. Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and Hollow Knight Silksong, which, by the way, that studio, I believe, is like 4 guys in Australia. But a lot of people are talking about how good Kingdom Come Deliverance is. I haven't really seen too much on Death Stranding 2, but everyone is talking about how Expedition 33 is going to completely wipe the Game Awards this year, which is crazy because that is also an indie studio. AAA just sucks now. Now, I didn't play Expedition 33. I didn't play Kingdom Come Deliverance. But there is one thing that I do have on my side. It's I am Chief Master Scout. I know fucking talent. If my dick was talent and it slapped you in the face, you wouldn't know talent. So trust me, this is game of the year. No, I really do want to get around to playing Expedition 33. But even when you're comparing a game like that, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yodi, or even unanimously the best game to come out ever, Assassin's Creed Shadows. No, I'm just kidding. I think I would suck shit through a straw before I had to play that game again. But all of those games compared to Dispatch is, you know, you're comparing apples and oranges or 6s and 7s. I don't know, man. In this case, I like oranges better. I haven't had this bad character hangover or post-game depression since Red Dead Redemption came out in 2018. And in all honesty, the depression for Red Dead was, damn, they really got my boy Arthur. The depression for Dispatch is, man, I'm sad that there's not more of this game. So that would almost categorize into a character hangover rather than a depression. But still, I'm going to miss Dispatch Wednesdays just as much as anybody. This was supposed to be something that would hold us superhero fans over until comes out in March and eventually The Boys come out later in 2026. Instead, we got something completely different that is now being held in as high of standards as The Boys and let me tell you, as good as some of these other games are from the Game Awards, none of them have created a cult-like fan base how Dispatch has. And it hasn't happened in a while. It took fans 3 seasons to get to this point. It took Arkham fans like 9 years to get to this point. And it took Dispatch fans, what? 3 months to get to this point? But now, when can we expect to see season 2? Now, I'm just a dickhead in a chair. What do I know? But Adhoc CEO, or somebody from Adhoc, went on an interview and said, we have another unannounced game with Critical Role, which were people that Adhoc worked with in collaboration to fund this game. And then we'll have to think about season 2. Like I said, dickhead in a chair, I know nothing. But if I am the CEO, I am looking at the cult-like fan base that this game has accumulated. I am looking at how I projected to hit a certain number of sales in 3 years that was supposed to be my game's best case scenario that we hit in 3 months. How we are on pace to sell more copies than Assassin's Creed Shadows, which doesn't mean much. That game was fucking terrible. And I'm taking all this information. My camera died. I'm calling my writers and I'm telling them, hey guys, vacation's over, get your ass back in the office, we're getting a new script. Then I'm calling Critical Role, or I'm calling whoever's going to give me funding, and I'm saying, get the animators, get the voice actors, we are getting this thing out by early 2027. I know, that seems early, but look at when season 3 came out versus when season 4 slated to come out. They didn't want to lose the hype. They got more funding from Amazon and threw that into more animators, more writers, more whatever, so we can get an accelerated release time without sacrificing quality. Because Adhoc needs to be smart about this. They need to understand that Dispatch to Adhoc is Minecraft to Mojang. They found their God of War. They found their Street Fighter. The one franchise that's going to turn them from an indie studio into an absolute fucking juggernaut. And then you can talk to Critical Role about another project. Because even if that project slaps, people are still going to be like, hey, that was really good. We want more Dispatch. The hype is there. The fan base is cult-like. And if it's bad, that's going to be way worse because then people are going to play it and they're going to be like, wow, what the fuck? Where's Dispatch? We waited for that shit? Because at this point, Adhoc's pretty much completely put Telltale out of business. Telltale has been a clusterfuck for the last, 6-7 years. But they would get these big licenses and they would come out with subpar games with really sad endings. The first couple seasons of Walking Dead were great, sad endings. And from what I understand, the next project that Telltale would come out with would be The Wolf Among Us Season 2, but no one has any idea if that's gonna happen. It's been years. I would seriously put money on it that it's not going to happen. And there are a lot of people who still care, but not over what Adhoc has put out with Dispatch. You know, oh cool, another Walking Dead season. Oh, cool. Another Telltale Batman season. But, you get another Dispatch season. Whole new world, it's own thing that could easily be a TV show, movie. I mean, this thing could be a huge franchise. It could be as big as The Boys. It could be as big as or bigger. But the most important thing with this is getting it out quick while you still are maintaining quality. You just can't let the hype die out with this and give us season 2 in late 2029. And if you are gonna take a while, then you gotta drop, like I said, infinite dispatch mode, a director's cut with more romance that they mention. You know, something to not let your fans out to dry. Now, obviously, you're gonna run into your problems with season 2. I think they intended for this to be a one-off based off of what they were projecting for their sales. Obviously, they didn't think it was gonna be this great big fan base. Obviously, they didn't think people would love it like this and it would sell like this. I think this was supposed to be a kickoff, and I'm not so sure they realized that they struck gold with this franchise. So obviously, when you're making games like this, depending on the ending, you're not going to make 2 separate games. They need to connect linearly at one point, while obviously still making it feel like your choices matter. And that's why I've been so critical of Telltale, because they are the absolute worst at making you feel like your choices matter. And I'll give you a great example. In either season 2 or 3 of The Walking Dead, it ends with Clementine basically having to choose whether to save Jane or Kenny, which are 2 huge characters in this game. And it's this big, huge ending of that season, and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till next season. And then Telltale sits there and goes, it was a huge ending, it was awesome, and you've been so loyal, you waited so long. Of course you waited so long, it's Telltale. So anyway, don't worry, you're gonna get rewarded. Here's the next season, and I hope you're ready for absolutely nothing. Whoever you chose to save dies off screen. It means nothing. You don't matter. Suck my ball. And that is going to be the biggest problem with this game. And obviously, I understand that when you're making a season 2, a direct continuation to a choice game, it's all going to have to connect linearly at some point. But you can do it in a way of, this would have happened regardless of the ending you got because of this. Not just, it was easier to do this off screen, everybody gets this. And I'll give you an example of something they can do. Everybody knows the endings at this point. Basically, either Invisibitch saves you and takes a bullet for you and chooses and embraces her hero side, or she kills Shroud and presumably becomes the next leader of the Red Ring. So something they could do is, let's say in season 2, Invisibitch is the new villain, which you can't do that because you're going to piss off like 67% of the fan base. But if you wanted to make her the villain, obviously, if you got the anti-hero ending, then you could say, oh yeah, she's just leading the Red Ring right now. And if you got the good ending, you could say that Shroud, because he was so good at predicting things, had a feeling that this could happen. So the tech that he augmented her with has a virus in it that pretty much takes over her mind and influences her to be evil, or something along the lines of that. And then all you have to do is you just have to write 2 different beginnings, 15 minutes, 20 minutes each of the first episode, so then they can finally converge right here. And that way it doesn't feel like a spit in your face, and it doesn't feel like as big of a slap as just going, oh, this and this happened off screen. Go fuck yourself. But also another thing that worked for them is, even though Invisibitch's ending was the bad ending, so to speak, it was still a happy ending. It was just like, ah, shit, like we couldn't save Invisigal. That really stinks. But it was all happy, and I think they need to keep that same happy energy, especially because there are so many games now that are just completely allergic to having a happy ending. Or maybe you do have a happy ending, but somebody dies. Somebody always has to die. But it was nice that this is refreshing. And, you can even say that if you got the bad ending, there's still hope for her. She's still out there somewhere. And another problem I could see is that they're not following Young Gravy on Instagram, and they're following almost everybody else that was part of the main cast. Also, I believe Young Gravy is the only one who hasn't posted about it, or at least openly said anything about their involvement in this game. But at the same time, it's also like,
Oh shit, I don't know.
I'll figure it out. Just call me.
You know what I mean? It's replaceable. But, you know, shout out to whoever decided to blow a bunch of money on the voice cast. Let's make the main character and the main supporting character that's not a romance option actual just Hollywood royalty. Then let's get two people who have been in the industry forever and know what they're doing, whereas there's pretty much nobody better than them. And then for the side characters, fuck it. Let's get a struggle rapper and two giant YouTubers. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe Young Gravy's a really good artist and maybe he has like, I don't care for it. He seems like a nice enough guy. Whoever decided that like, hey, this should be the voice actors, you know, they probably deserve a blowjob and a raise. But with that being said, like this game is very high up. I don't remember enjoying another game this much in a pretty long time, and not to say that I didn't enjoy it. You know, Ghost of Tsushima was great. Days Gone, I really like Days Gone. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, that one's actually very, very high for me as well. I like that game so much. Yeah, what the hell else did I play recently? Cyberpunk I thought was great. You know, here's Assassin's Creed Shadows that I have to be reminded that I actually spent money on that. Uncharted, also great. Listen, they're all great. I don't know, this one just felt special. That's the best way I can describe it. And especially, I wasn't even that hyped to play it because I was like, oh, Telltale, cool, Telltale Part 2. Boy, was I wrong. All you can really say about it is it was a work of art. Now, if you're new to the channel, hey, what's up? If you've been following the channel for a little bit, or you've been subscribed, or you know, you've seen some of my videos before, you probably noticed that I haven't posted in you know, a little bit. The important thing to understand, I guess, is that like everybody deals with shit differently. And my way of dealing with stuff was, I guess, just taking a step away from something I really, really like to do, which I know it's dumb, but I was away way longer than I thought I was ever going to be away from this. And especially for somebody like me who really, really, really enjoys making YouTube videos and would hope that, you know, I'd be good enough one day and fortunate enough one day to make a career off of this. It's just, it wasn't a good idea to step away, but you know, now I'm back. I'm good. I got my shit figured out. And I'm ready to, you know, keep uploading. Because like I said, I really just enjoy this stuff. So, with that being said, I'm back. So you guys can, somebody commented I died of a fucking cold. Fuck you. Anyway, yeah, I'm back. Have a great day.
I'm a bitch. My name's Robert. Such a bitch whose name is Robert. I'm a bitch. Yeah, I'm a bitch. I'm such a fucking bitch. I have no hopes, I have no dreams, and a tiny little thing, and it doesn't even function anyway, because every record is function.